Love never tear us apart again. Love never tear us apart again. My husband, Ian Curtis, wrote this song with his band Joy Division. His life was a painful existence. Deborah, the drugs help me with my music. Ian, the drugs have made you an epileptic. Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, and Jimi Hendrix are all musicians who lived eccentric lives and who died at the age of 27. On May 18, 1980, Ian Curtis, the lead singer of the band Joy Division, claimed his membership to the 27th Club. His wife went on to write a memoir of their experiences together in Touching from a Distance by Deborah Curtis. Ian Kevin Curtis was born in Manchester, England, July 15, 1956. Ian's main love in life was music. He used lyrics as his creed and was carried away by the romantic image of an early death. He idolized people like Jim Morrison, who died at their peak. This was the first indication anyone had that he was planning on not living beyond his early 20s. Ian and his contemporaries used to smoke dope, sniff solvents, and leave just enough time for studies. He told me, listen, taking clonazepam was a thrill, but it wasn't what caused my epileptic seizures. It wasn't, damn it! Sometimes he described situations where he had the sensation of floating, as if he had taken drugs when in fact he had not. No one thought that these might have been early epileptic fits. Events such as these were too easily passed off as effects of drug abuse. Ian asked me to go out with him, and he invited me to the David Bowie gig at the Hard Rock Cafe in Manchester. From that night on, I was Ian's girlfriend, and I stopped even looking at other boys. I'm not sure Ian himself knew why he would suddenly become so angry. He seemed to have a great deal of hate inside that was always directed at those closest to him. One evening, we were going to a Lou Reed concert when he surreptitiously showed me the quarter bottle of gin in his pocket. I realized he was well on his way to oblivion. Immediately upon entering the theater, he pulled me into a vast white room full of men who turned around and shouted at me. He turned on me, told me it was all my fault. I told myself things would change once he felt more comfortable in the relationship. We were engaged on the 17th of April, 1974. We were married on the 23rd of August, 1975. With hindsight, the decision to start a family was not a sensible one. Ian wasn't the type of man to think rationally. What he wanted most was to make people happy. And if a baby made me happy, we could have a baby. It was towards the end of 1978, on the 27th of December, when Ian had his first recognizable epileptic fit. He came home and he told me, the doctor, he said I had some sort of I was dumbstruck. When he finally came home, he had a letter from his doctor and some phenobarbital tablets. I found I wasn't able to get enough rest. After a Joy Division gig, he wouldn't go to sleep until he had an attack. It became ritual for him. He was too scared to go to bed in case he died in his sleep. We realized there was no turning back the page. Ian was now epileptic. It seemed that everything was happening in the spring of 1979, from the birth of our child to Joy Division's first album. Natalie was tiny, her features like Ian's in miniature. At home, Ian became more serious. He stopped sharing his life with me. One evening, he came up to bed and told me he had taken an overdose of phenobarbital tablets. I called an ambulance and he was rushed off to the hospital to have his stomach pumped. I went downstairs and I read the letter he had left for me. It said there's no need to fight now. How unhappy does one have to be till living seems worse than dying? It might have been helpful to know that suicide is 5 times more common among epilepsy sufferers. It was in May 1980 when Ian and Joy Division were about to go on their first American tour. I was so excited for him. The night before he was supposed to leave, I came home. I saw a letter on the living room mantelpiece. My heart jumped when I realized he had left a note for me. I reached forward to pick it up, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw him. He was kneeling in the kitchen. His head was bowed, his hands on the washing machine. I was glad, happy he was still there. And then I saw the rope I hadn't seen. The rope from the clothes rack tied around his neck. A long string of saliva hung from his mouth. Yes, he had really done it. The police asked me to identify the body. I couldn't. I regret that very much. I sat in the car and waited, still too shocked to cry, but able to notice that the sun was still shining and the breeze was still blowing. It was a beautiful day. By the time I got to go to the police station to read the letter that Ian had left for me, I was handed the original. Ian was cremated on May 23rd, 1980. As far as I know, I was the last person to see or speak to Ian. People tell me they don't know why he did it. This was the last act in his plot of self-destruction. Love Will Tear Us Apart was released in June 1980. The words I had chosen in the crematorium. There seemed little need to change it because it pretty well summed up all I wanted to say. Love will tear us apart was pretty well how we all felt. No, love will tear us apart.